This content is intended for adult listeners only. Listener discretion is advised.
I ended up staying in Shinjia for almost 2 weeks. I could see why Tomo had a hard time leaving when he was a kid. I could not let Chief Chen know that I'm familiar with William Deschenes, but his coordinates did take me to a familiar area of the restricted zone. It's nighttime. The rain has been heavy, and it's very cold. I'm on the floor of a large, self-adjusting camo tent, drying off from the storm while William Deschenes is outside, securing the anchors and sidewalls. You know, this tent, I think it used to be one of ours. Bill is such a jokester. He is also perpetually in denial. He avoids memories of his troubled childhood by deflecting difficult conversations and pushing buttons. But when he trusts you, he'll be brutally honest. I know this about him because he had been an informant to Lamura for many years. He is a defector from the Northern Imperial, an enemy of the state. He's also guilt-ridden, an emotionally compromised former UDAP soldier with blood on his hands and anger in his heart. If I can work through his outer layer of callousness, maybe he can give me the information I need on the Northern Imperial and the weak points of UDAP. But most of all, I need details on Esperanza, Tomo's mother, to confirm if she had been in the Northern Imperial before Tomo was born.
Entertaining Diversity presents Caucus, After the Fall, created by Teja Arboleda.
It is good to see you, William.
Bill. It's Bill.
Yeah.
You'd
Bill.
think you would at least remember that. What are you doing here? Seriously. Are you done with that risk in your life business? If I didn't recognize you, you'd be dead.
Yeah, right. You're old and you're, 60 now?
Yeah, you're older.
You don't even have it in you anymore, do you?
Yeah, try me. You are considerably older. Look at you. I mean, you probably, need a mirror? I have no problem taking out a totally unassuming wisecrack.
You have not changed, Bill. Not changed.
I would like to say neither have you, but
I'm no longer producing documentaries.
not producing much
I know
of
you're
anything.
just about... I know you're about to ask about that. I'm not the producer anymore. I can't be. And there's really no purpose to that anymore.
No.
Now, I'm traveling around listening to stories, and your story will become part of a library of interesting stories. What do you think of that? You get to voice your story.
Oh, okay, great. Well, here I am. It must be pretty horrible not having a way to have an outlet for your work, but it's been like 3 decades since you produced anything, at least that I'm aware of. I never liked your stuff. I mean, all due respect.
A lot of people did not like my stuff.
Well, it's pretty much trash, I mean, you didn't really ever get to the truth, so what's the point of doing what you attempted to do? I mean, most of the time, it's
Well, you mentioned truth. I don't know.
not a friend of yours, I guess.
Hey, when was the last time we met?
It was like 20 years ago. It's when Tomo was first tagging in on his own.
Oh, yeah.
Come
yeah.
on.
Do you remember where he was going at the time?
Yeah. No, he was on his way to Dorado, I believe.
Dorado. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you first meet up with him?
It was around the time I defected from the Northern Imperial.
Well, what if I told you that we believe Davidson is dead?
Yeah, what if you told me that? I believe, again, that you were lying, like most of the work you've done. Then why would you say that?
We were provided some information, pretty solid evidence that he's passed, maybe committed suicide. I don't know. But
You would never.
But if you think about it,
Yeah.
I did not see much of UDAP at all coming here to see you. What is that saying? How do you think I got here in the first place?
I don't know. I'm here.
I'm just saying.
No, I mean,
Things are pretty quiet out there.
How'd he die? I mean, suicide. I mean, he would never take his own life. I mean, sure, maybe that's the best thing Hitler ever did for history was take his own life. But Davidson, no, that guy's too selfish. A guy like that, he doesn't just die. Is that why you're here? To tell me he's dead?
Well, he's most likely assassinated.
It should have been me. Whoever took him out, I wish I could have been there to see it. Was it Tomo?
Oh,
no, wait a minute. Wait, no, was it Esperanza?
I don't know, but
What do you know?
from the evidence that we're deciphering now, it was an attack.
Oh, they're going to blame it on me then.
That's one of
I'm
the reasons.
enemy number one.
Right, that's one of the reasons why I came to see you.
I'm not sure I should be talking to you.
I just really. Why not? I mean,
Yeah, did they send you? Are you working for them now? No, why else are you here?
my plan is to go to all of the SLOs, which you know because you've been to these SLOs. I need to speak with the SLO leaders, and each of their stories will be, the first featured entries for a museum. It's just a museum. The American Race War Museum and Memorial. That's what I'm calling it. Why are you
That's what
laughing?
you're going to call it?
That's right.
That's cute. That's so your plan is to give everyone a vacation, and we can all stand in line and go see this great thing that you've created.
Yeah,
It's a great use of resources. Can I get myself a little race war plushie doll?
you'll be the first in line, I'm sure.
Yeah, with the war going on, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're really doing this, you should give me a special section just for me.
A real special section just for you.
Oh, well,
Bill. Yeah.
great. With a timeline, starting off as a killer, going on to become a spy, an informant, then a treasoner, then a fugitive, and then ending here as a recluse.
So that's your story. A killer, a spy, an informant, a treasoner, a fugitive, a recluse. That's a great story for the museum. Think about it.
Well, there's still the final chapter.
It's also a great opener.
Is this really what you're doing? Please.
If the stories are never told, in the future, when the war is over, what will we have? We'll have no recollection of how we got here in the first place, about the war, and who will tell those stories, but the ones who are most committed to their communities, to their SLOs, are the SLO leaders. The Northern Imperial doesn't have an SLO leader that we would trust. The closest thing is your story because you spent so much time in the Northern Imperial.
I don't think anyone cares anymore.
Well, I have to go to the Northern Imperial. I've got to get in. I have to see for myself.
That is a suicide mission. And you're old. How are you going to do that? I don't know. They know who you are. You can't just go into the Northern Imperial. They will kill you. Mm-hmm. Believe me, I was captured, I was jailed, and forced into hard labor. What would they do to you? They know you can't do hard labor. It's a death sentence.
So you were captured, jailed, and you were forced into hard labor.
Yeah.
Even more of a reason why your story and knowing that Davidson is dead is an imperative because, Bill, you've spent most of your life running. I think it's safer now.
Yeah, why do you think that?
The other information that we received is that the war most likely is over.
That's ridiculous.
And my intention is to inform all SLO leaders that the war has ended. That's the other reason why I'm trying.
What are you talking about? I have a finger on the pulse of the war. I would know if it were done. There's no way you could know that. I was part of it. I know how it works. I know how the system works.
Yeah, I know.
Why do you think I escaped? How do you know what you're telling me? You making it up? Like your documentaries? I guess you're going to say that you have the evidence. You're the producer. I think you're wrong. I think the war is still going on. You're not seeing it. The Northern Imperial will never let their guard down. This is just the calm before the storm.
Hey, could I bother you for one of those beers? It's probably very lukewarm.
But you realize there is a limited amount of beers.
Yeah, I know, but Bill, come on, it's been a long time. So.
It is vintage. You into vintage beer?
Very
That's all we
vintage.
got.
Please. Yeah, please.
Of course.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God, that is good. That is good. I don't know how you keep all this with you.
Nothing like piss warm beer.
You remember Lemuda, of course, right?
Of course.
Okay. When we found out about Davidson's death, this is recent, we also received messages that UDAP had fallen out of operation, had fallen apart. And as I was saying before, that's how I got here.
Yeah, who sent those messages? Don't tell me. Tomo?
Tomo and his half-sister Sema, together.
Tomo was a sister?
Yes.
Where'd she come from? A younger sister, older sister? I mean, who?
She's
who is she?
older.
Did she tag too?
Not like Tomo, no. No, she was born, we think, before Esperanza first went to the Northern Imperial. Yeah, that was some years before Tomo was born.
So the brother and sister are a team.
Yeah, they are. At least they had been for a while.
I can only imagine that Sema has the brains.
I helped train Tomo when he was older. He was always really good, very smart, but he was sloppy. So having a sister like Sema was, she was really kind of more the brains, yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. I didn't train Semha, though, so I don't really know a lot about Semha. What I do know is that she lived in the Southern Dominion. Esperanza must have dropped her off there before she headed north, to the Northern Imperial. I'm guessing probably because she thought that she'd fit better there. Maybe she'd be safer there. She's much darker than Tomo.
How do you know all this?
Esperanza hadn't yet really kind of conceptualized the tagging and FOFA training.
Did she also try to get into the other Eslos?
She wasn't trained like Tomo was trained. She was not FOFA trained. No, she didn't. Although I do know that she was able to get into a few Eslos without proper training.
Oh my God.
Yeah. She's a firecracker.
Yeah, you'd have to be.
Yeah.
So you want to get into Northern Imperial to find its weak points? Are you crazy? That's nuts.
So you'll help me get in?
No. I'm never going back. You're not going to go. No one's going in there. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then you can decide if you really want to go.
Look, Bill, I'm taking this as hesitancy, but I have to find Tomo and Sema and the many others who I and the others have trained. I have to get them back. This is my fault. It's my fault.
They're adults. It's been decades. I mean, what is going in there going to prove?
I never should have sent them.
You have no military training.
No, and that's exactly why. And they were too young. But I never should have sent them. And I should have gone. It should have been me who went.
It's too late. What happened happened. They're in there. You're going to die.
I need you. But you're telling me that even you won't go. So how would this ever be done? Right? Who would be able to go in? All I know is that you helped a few FOFA kids. And you've informed us a few times. But you never said much about the Northern Imperial. Are you telling me that you wash your hands of all the responsibility you had when you shared information with these kids?
I had to learn to trust you first. I don't just give up information. I still need to find my own wife and kid. Too much. My mother died at the very end. You know, my father, he believed in the replacement theory. And he gave these speeches in public about the great replacement. And people of color and immigrants taking over America, these non-whites. I didn't know what was the truth. At 16, my father pushed me to enlist in the paramilitary. It was all funded by Davidson. My girlfriend at the time, we started to argue. She was, against what my father was telling me what was right. And, I was torn and I just needed to get away. And so I joined. And really, that was the last I heard of my father. He got killed by friendly fire. And then I was sent off, and I was taught to kill. I killed these protesters. They weren't armed. They weren't trying to hurt us or do anything. They were just trying to stand up for what they thought was right, and I killed them. These young people, people my own age. And then the Great Migration was going on. You know what that was like. And there was so much confusion. And I killed so many people. Dozens. Mixed race families I wouldn't separate. The different races had to be apart, is what I believed. And I would kill them if they wouldn't do what we said. They wouldn't give up their homes. I would kill them. Anyone that tried to flee the convoy, I killed them. How do I reconcile that? You can't. I mean, the evil things I did because I thought it was right, I believed every word of it. There was this one family. They had these young kids. They were pleading with me, just let us stay together, just act like I was the only one that saw them. They said, pretend you don't see us. Just pretend you didn't see us. And at that point, I didn't see them as human. I separated them. I sent their kid off. I don't even know what happened to him, but I could only assume that he was killed because of what I did. After that, I got injured. I hurt my leg, and I wasn't able to do what I was doing. And I just got angry, and I was depressed, and I got to a point where I didn't even feel anything anymore. After what I did, I had no right to feel. And I decided maybe if I could get back into the Northern Imperial and take them down, maybe that would give me something to feel. So I did. I re-entered the Northern Imperial. I got honorable discharge because I had hurt my leg. I worked my way up to operations to become ambassador of goodwill. Goodwill. They thought I was carrying on my father's legacy. And then I became the ambassador premier. I represented the northwestern states. And then feelings started to come back. That's when I met Angela. I fell in love. She was working in administration for Davidson. And I fell hard. I didn't even know I was capable anymore. She didn't know the pretenses of why I was back in the Northern Imperial. And we got close. It was genuine. It was real. I really cared about her. She really cared about me. And we got married. We had our son, Benny. At that point, I was so happy, but I also remembered why I was there. I was there for a reason to make those lives of those people I'd taken worth something. I uncovered some information about Davidson, stuff that Angela had shared with me, just because I was her husband. Not that she was trying to hide, share secrets with me. She was just telling me what she did on the job. I understood that I needed to do something with this information, as much as it was a betrayal of my marriage, but this was something bigger, something I had to do. But I needed facts to back up what I learned from Angela. But I guess I got too close. And Davidson's, his secret bodyguards, his secret service, they overheard a conversation I was having with Angela and a few of our other informant friends. And they cornered me and they separated us. And they made me leave my wife and my child behind. I mean, I had no choice. I mean, I had to escape. I knew they would kill me, they'd probably kill her and Benny if I didn't run for it. And I left them behind and I escaped into the restricted zone. And I hid there. I hid there for a while. For about 3 years, I guess. And I got caught. A few years into it. In a way, I was grateful I got caught because I wanted to see my wife and my son. They brought me back into the Northern Imperial and they interrogated me for days on end, possibly weeks, I don't even know. And they blame me for informing mixed-race rebels. They blame me for endangering Davidson's life and the well-being of the Northern Imperial. And they thought I gave the information to Tomo and his people who were attempting to assassinate Davidson. But after several weeks, they made a mistake that left me my shoelaces. And I killed my guards with a shoelace. Can you imagine? Nearly severed their heads. I was labeled enemy of the state, and I knew I could never go back to the life I once knew in the Northern Imperial. And I heard that they took Angela and Benny and sent them off to labor camps. Somewhere way up in Maine, somewhere I knew I could never get to. So I was back down in the restricted zone, and then I came across the myth.
You mean Lamura?
Yeah.
What I know is that you occasionally informed us what you were learning about the restricted zone and UDAP soldiers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you feel like you can't go, someone is going to have to go and take care of that business. In order to do that, we need more information about Davidson and the Northern Imperial.
Take care of what business?
Don't you have this suspicion that something else is going on? I do. The trickle of information that we've gotten over the years. For example, the Great Separation was initiated by President Damian Davidson. We all know that, right? Davidson claimed that he sacrificed comfort and privileges so that all others may live peacefully. He was left without enough natural resources, that the Northern Imperial had nothing. They were just destitute. And that they depended on the assistance of and trade with all other Eslos. He also claimed that the citizens of the Northern Imperial were at most danger of contracting the variant because of, quote, strong and pure Caucasian DNA, as if the sun was just going to burn them into a crisp, and that they were susceptible to compromise if associated with genetically complex genes of non-whites. I mean, that was the scare, right?
It's a bunch of BS.
He was suggesting that the Northern Imperial was protecting itself because they were in danger of dying from the variant if in contact with people of color. But here is the problem. Mm-hmm. There were some people of color in the Northern Imperial.
Yeah.
Davidson positioned himself well, with the Northern Imperial embracing the freshwater of the Great Lakes. And since half the Great Lakes border to Canada, it was all theirs, he could count on clean, potable water, right? They bought all that land, all that real estate, years before, decades before the Great Migration.
Yeah.
It's so important for us to understand UDAP. What are the weak points? The Achilles heel. How do we get in? Tell me what you know about UDAP.
Well, let's just go from the basics then. That's 95% young white men, 3% women, 2% are non-white, indentured non-white scouts, I mean, a lot of them are conscripted in their early teens, primed to support the cause, like I was. They were race keepers,
Race keepers.
Yeah, making sure everyone stayed in their lane. It was a veritable free-for-all anarchy. I mean, it was private, for-profit, uncontrolled army managed by no one and accountable to no one. They were funded through several nearshore equity investment firms owned by none other than Davidson himself.
Okay, so what we know is that this was Davidson's private army.
Mm-hmm.
And I know as a producer back then, he had invested billions of dollars in setting up these soldiers for success. And they weren't actually officially soldiers at the time. There were no uniforms like that, but weapons.
Sure.
A lot of weapons.
A lot of weapons.
Right? So in 2038, the before U.S. experienced the infamous Week of Terror. Do you remember that?
I do. How could I forget?
Right? During that week, when tens of thousands of devastating gas explosions took place, and toxic sewage floods, and millions died from injury and sickness, of course because of the Week of Terror, Davidson blamed it on a chain reaction of residual integrated infrastructure supporting computer failures, compromising gas and water pipes which had been constructed poorly. But he also blamed certain types of people. And we know who he was blaming, not his own people.
That was his argument.
That was his argument.
But he held back on rebuilding. Upgrade America was put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been avoided.
Yes, and the variant spread like wildfire.
Yeah, I never caught it. But many of my friends, some family, like I said, my mother, she died of the variant.
Mm-hmm.
It was a violent, ugly death.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. For whites, it seemed to have no rhyme or reason.
After that, it was the brutal and bloody riots that followed, spreading to every major city in the U.S. Oakland, Las Vegas, St. Louis, to Miami, Chicago, Boston. Armed race-based gangs roamed and terrorized the streets. You remember the footage?
I sure do.
The footage is still in my head, Bill. It's still in my head.
Yeah, how could it not be?
Whites against blacks, against Asians, against Hispanic, against South Asians, against Arabs and Jews, and Nigerians and Chinese. I mean, how were you handling it?
I was 21. I was a kid. How am I supposed to handle it?
I did not an excuse.
Remember, my father, he was an extreme right wing. He normalized all of it from our perspective. I mean, he'd go off on these tangents fueled by the media, things he saw in the news, in the socials. I just believed everything the man said because I didn't know better. I found myself just complying with my father. It was insanity.
And that all turned to war. Faction against faction and fiction against fiction. More gas explosions and fires overwhelmed every major urban center. And the National Guard was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed also because Davidson was creating this other army. How could they possibly defend themselves against that? And then Davidson issued a national emergency, and Congress and Supreme Court quickly approved a measure to extend the Second Amendment and the Stand Your Ground laws. You remember that? The Stand Your Ground laws?
I do.
That was extended to everyone for every reason. Anything you wanted. Stand your ground.
Any excuse to kill.
Any excuse to kill. Davidson uses it to advance his own private stockpiled weapons. Is that where you got those from?
He got transport vehicles, to move his personnel. There were promises of high pay and local autonomy. I mean, no skills were necessary. Who wouldn't be attracted to that? I mean, of course I was. And get away from my father? Of course I'm going to want to do that. It was my chance to prove myself too and finally look like I knew what I was talking about, knew what I wanted. And I'd make decent money.
You made decent money? Really?
No.
I think that the troops were incentivized to eliminate all enemies of the state for bonuses and perks.
Back then my father was part of the incentive to build widespread militia called the United Assistance Program.
UAP, I remember.
Yeah.
Of course.
Things got worse, obviously. And just before the formation of the SLOs, followed by the Great Migration, he changed the mission of the UAP to UDAP, the United Distribution Assistance Program. I was part of that. I fought in that war.
Through your role as liaison for the Northern Imperial and your travels to other SLOs, what do you think about people from other SLOs?
My position and opinions are tainted by the fact I've lived in the restricted zone for so long. Everyone was the enemy. Everyone hated us. My presence as a peacekeeper was a joke.
But where were all the ultra-rich white people? I'm going to assume that not everyone in the Northern Imperial was wealthy. I mean, the assumption is, right? The assumption is.
Yeah, sure. We certainly were not all wealthy. Not by a long shot. The way people all see us in the Northern Imperial. They disappear from Central Park West in Beverly Hills. I mean, they disappeared fast. The Northern Imperial was the result of decades-long preparation and planning for generations.
So that's what I'm saying. There's something else going on.
Generations of powerful political strategists. They got exactly what they wanted. But I did learn that they call themselves the Caucus.
The Caucus? What does that mean?
Well, it's a name that is ambiguous in a social political sense, but I mean, with an obvious purpose. Who knows how far back it goes, or even where they are. I mean, but let's be clear. I mean, the Northern Imperial, they should not have been vilified just because it was a white Eslo. Many of us had no choice. If men and boys, I mean, no matter what age, didn't enlist, I mean, they would have been killed for treason if they didn't enlist. We had no choice.
You know, after the Northern Imperial was established as an Eslo, because they were the last to establish themselves as an Eslo, there were many people of color, particularly blacks, working as servants in the Northern Imperial. And in fact, I heard that Davidson had a black housemaid. Am I making this up? Or maybe she was mixed? Can you verify any of that?
How do you know all this? I know what I know because I was the only official ambassador, Northern Imperial Office of Eslo Affairs. The woman that I think that you're referring to was listed as HSPOC, or B-Perm, which means she was housekeeping person of color, permanent. So yes, Davidson did have a black housemaid, but I'm assuming she was black, being that she was from Southern Dominion and all.
Are you sure she was from Southern Dominion?
The immigrants who came into Northern Imperial, they were stripped of their IDs. They didn't get to keep them, so that way they could move within Northern Imperial without us being afraid of them escaping. The Northern Imperial is not what people imagine it to be. I'm not an exception, despite the fact that I'm an ambassador. If you're not super wealthy, you're poor. You're working class. There's a lot of homelessness. You know, there's depression, crime, and corruption. The smell. There was no centralized sewage system, so people just went in the gutter. And because many of us lived in tents, like this tent. At least a third of us who are not in the in circle. Yes, it's actually called that.
What?
It's literally called the in circle.
The in circle?
Yeah.
Sounds like a joke.
No, it's where the $1 billion plus elite 0.5% neighborhood lived of the before Chicago. An area called Waterside Drive.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's even cordoned off by this huge wall in the shape of a circle.
What?
With two highly guarded small access points, which no one can get through.
Okay.
And it's right on the edge of Lake Michigan. And guess what? Outside of that, the out circle. Yes, again, it's actually called that. It's where the social elites and millionaires live. And beyond that?
Don't tell me.
The outcast.
Okay.
Spelled Caste for real. That's where everyone else lived. It's where the service workers lived. I mean, it's where I lived. Professors and mechanics lived there, and maids and nurses and doctors. Shanty towns. Like all the rest of you. We didn't have it any better. Perhaps it was worse.
Bill, there are two missions I have. One is done, and that is to inform you of the end of the war, that Davidson is dead, and that UDAP has been all but dissolved. But also, I need to find Tamo and Sema. I believe they may have been the ones who assassinated Davidson.
Are you kidding? If that is true, this is huge. They'll come home.
I believe that Tamo and Sema's mother is also involved.
Their mother?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, who's their mother?
Remember that maid you talked about earlier, the one that you mentioned her code or her label?
Esperanza.
Yes.
Alvarez.
Right.
What? As in the woman who oversees...
La Muda, yes.
This is getting pretty exciting. So, wait, am I hearing you correct? She is Tamo and Sema's mother?
Now, Sema was born before Esperanza went to the Northern Imperial. I don't
Wait,
know.
so Esperanza went to the Northern Imperial to spy on Davidson.
Well, that's where I think she invented tagging. That's where I think she figured it out.
Well, in the records, there is some mention about stolen documents. And notes that Davidson wrote, notes that include plans to usurp military command structures.
Yes.
Don't go to the Northern Imperial. I don't think they're there.
How do you know?
Well, you'll have to find Esperanza to find them. The mother's intuition. But if you want to find Esperanza, I suspect they will have retreated to Southern Dominion. They won't go back home.
To La Muda?
No, because they're being trailed. They're smarter than that. And the Southern Dominion is a force to be reckoned with. Best of luck to you.
I agree. I could learn a lot from Sema.
Well, if she's as smart as her mother, she has a plan. She's probably leading you without you even knowing.
This is why I need you, Bill. I need you to help me with this, please. I committed a terrible, terrible act.
Stop.
I am no better than anyone who committed crimes against humanity during the war. I trained these kids.
We all did terrible things. All of us. I'll have to live with what I did. And this was war. And if it wasn't war, then it was genocide on a scale human history has never seen.
Yeah.
I mean, you may be right. You may uncover some truths that were devastating. But remember, there's always someone or a group that's behind the curtain. The question is, who is behind the curtain?
If I can find Tamo, he can help me find the others.
In the meantime, replenish here. You can leave in the morning. I'll take you to the quickest path to the border. I can't help you cross over. I can't trust what you said about the war being over.
Now I'm gonna have to prove it to you.
Caucus After the Fall stars Michael To as Chief Lingyun Chen, Ian Lyons as William Deschenes, Jackie Davis as Chief Rose Jacobs, Rena Malashevsky as Chief Winona Redfeather, Naheem Garcia as Chief Ricardo Gutierrez, Celeste Oliva as Chief Amihan Bekele, Michelle Aguillon as Chief Akane Ashikaga, Shahjahan Khan as Lieutenant General Shimer Rashid, and Teja Arboleda as the producer, with additional voiceover by Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Created and written by Teja Arboleda. Script advisor Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Directed and executive produced by Teja Arboleda. Co-produced by Michael To and Barbara Wilson Arboleda. Original music and soundscaping by Arshan Galas. Edited by Teja Arboleda. Casting director Michael To. Development Director, Dan Watanabe. Marketing Coordinator, Katie Arboleda. Special thanks to Desiree Cooper. This podcast was recorded under a SAG-AFTRA micropod agreement. Caucus After the Fall is an entertaining diversity production in partnership with To Arboleda Films. Caucus After the Fall was developed from the original story Caucus by Teja Arboleda. All characters and other entities appearing in this work, Caucus, and Caucus After the Fall, are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, dead or alive, or other real-life entities, past, present, or future, is purely coincidental. For more information, go to www.entertainingdiversity.com.